Hi everybody, I'm Dr. John Douillard, and today I want to talk about seasonal changes and what happens during a seasonal change and how important it is for us to change the microbes from one season to the next, and how critically important it is, and how nature did that automatically for us, and how really neat that is. You know, at the end of the summer, the heat accumulates, and as the heat accumulates, the body begins to start to dry out. And as a result of drying out, the tissues, the mucous membranes begin to dry out. Well, the antidote for that in nature is fall and winter. And the harvest in fall and winter are nuts and seeds and grains, which are loaded with soluble fiber. And if you eat those foods, those heavier, warmer, oilier, fattier foods, they will kind of antidote and lubricate that dryness. But if you go from hot and dry in the summer into kind of cold and dry in the winter, and you don't eat the foods to mitigate those extremes, then you're going to go from hot and dry to cold and dry. You're going to dry out the mucous membranes in your sinuses, your gut, respiratory tract are going to dry out. You're going to get constipated, opportunistic bacteria, reactive mucus production, unwanted and unnecessary immune events will take place because you didn't get the right bugs in the right season. And we now know, right, that the science is in, that the bugs in the spring decongest you. The bugs in the summer will help you get rid of heat better. And the bugs in the winter that are naturally occurring from the foods you eat help boost immunity. So the bugs in the gut are supposed to change. According to Stanford research on the Hadza tribe in Tanzania, the bugs change from winter to summer to spring. Newer studies show that the bugs in the soil have a specific synergistic effect with the plants that they attach to. And studies show now, really recent studies show that those bugs are amping up the medicinal benefits of those plants. So it's not just the plant alone and the chemistry of the plant alone. It was never alone. It was always with the bugs. Just like we are never alone, we're always with the bugs. The bugs inside of our gut are doing most of the heavy lifting. Well, the same thing with the plants. So to eat the bug without the plant, or the plant without the bug, is sort of like half the plan, right? And those are good, and if you take a chemical herbal extract and super concentrated, it's going to have some value, really good value, and potency for sure. But when you're trying to restore function in the connection between your biological clocks and nature's circadian rhythms, you want to have the bugs and the chemistry of the plant and the food all together as one, right? That's the beauty of it all. And that's what eating seasonally really does for us. And that's why I publish a recipe list and a grocery list and a superfood list for folks for free. It's called the 3-Season Diet Eating Guide. Anybody can get it for free. And you can just take the grocery list, circle the foods you like for the season, and enjoy. Give yourself permission to eat as much of that as you want, right? Just because those foods are in season. If you're eating them organically without being sprayed or from your garden, you're getting the bugs as well. You're inoculating your gut bugs with the right bugs for the right season. So that's why it's so important. The problem is a lot of us, have imbalances in our digestive tract. Our intestinal tract has gotten irritated. The environment has changed. We have opportunistic bacteria that have taken over, and they don't change with the seasons. They resist the change of the seasons. And then the foods we eat, if they're processed and packaged, they also don't have the intelligence for the season either. So we end up with the same bugs in the same season, which we now know from science causes lower and lower and lower levels of diversity and higher level risk of degenerative issues and immune compromised events, right? So that's what we're really looking at here, is during the change of the seasons, how to make sure we do it right. And Ayurveda says something they call this Ritu Sandhi. Ritu means season, Sandhi means the change of, or the junction between. So the junction between the seasons is when Ayurveda said the beginning foothold of disease takes place during that transition between one season to the next, and how critically important that is. And that's why we have cleanses in Ayurveda. Our short home 4-day cleanse, or our 14-day Colorado cleanse. 'Tis the season to engage in something to transition well from one season to the next. Because as we go into the winter, if you didn't get rid of that heat in the summer, and that heat goes into the winter and it dries you out, your mucous membranes, which are your first line of defense, they're going to dry out, and they're going to become more vulnerable to irritation from pollutants like pollens, and not pollens, but pollutants like environmental pollutants, which have been proven to drill holes through your own mucous membranes in your gut and respiratory tracts, right? So that's not good. So we can protect ourselves from that by keeping our mucous membranes as healthy as we possibly can, and also shoveling out any of the toxins that have accumulated during that season, and that's why we do seasonal cleanses. And I also am a big fan of doing a microbial reset during the seasonal change. And so either while you're doing one of our cleanses, or after you're doing one of our cleanses, or even if you just don't do a cleanse and you just do this, it'd be something to make sure you shovel out some of the wrong bugs and repopulate with some of the right bugs. And how we do that at LifeSpa is really cool. We have a formula called the slippery elm prebiotic, which is just slippery elm, chopped, marshmallow root, and licorice root. They're all chopped. We boil them down, make a thick viscous tea. Then we take little sips, like little shot glasses of this stuff throughout the day, to sort of coat your whole intestinal tract like the Pepto-Bismol commercial. And that coats and coats and heals and seals your intestinal tract. While we're doing that, we take a probiotic that has been proven to be antagonistic for the bad bugs that are there. We got to get rid of some bugs to make room for the new guys. So that's sort of the step one, and that's the first half of that probiotic. The second half, which I really love, these are colonizing probiotics, which are rare in the probiotic world. Probiotics have been proven to stick to and adhere to the intestinal lining, which means they become permanent. And they also have been shown to increase the proliferation of other good bugs from the foods you eat to attach and become more permanent residents for that seasonal transition of bugs from one season to the next, right? So that is called gut revival. Take a packet or two of that per day to kind of, while you're taking the soluble fiber slippery elm prebiotic that coats and heals and soothes and repairs your intestinal mucous membranes. Then you put the probiotics to get rid of the bad bugs, repopulate the good bugs, and then you do that for a month, and that's it. And if you take it one step further at the end, if you want to finish with nothing but pure colonizers, which is called our Flora Restore Max or our Flora Restore, we have two probiotics that are nothing but pure colonizers. The Flora Restore Max is really loaded, has 3 times the amount of colonizing probiotics than the Gut Revival does, and 3 times the amount of colonizing probiotics that our regular Flora Restore does. So Flora Restore is just kind of 1 dose of the colonizing probiotics, and the Flora Restore Max is 3 doses of the colonizing probiotics. And that usually do after the slippery elm and the gut revival for a month, and then you kind of finish the job that way. And that sort of depends on how much digestive resetting that you need. But that's what I've been using clinically for more than a decade now, and it's just a phenomenal way to get in there and make sure that we repopulate the bugs with the gut with the right bugs for the right season, and help make room for this transition to take place from one season to the next. So after you do a cleanse, it's always a good idea to change the guard and make room for some of the new bugs that are trying to come in. At the very least, just eat seasonally. Go on my website, that's for free. Download those recipe lists and grocery lists and start getting those foods in the right amount. More medicinal dosage of foods that are in season. Doesn't mean you can have to only eat seasonal food, but just make sure you're getting your fair share so you can inoculate your gut with the right bugs the very best you can. All right, thanks for listening. There's an article about this and the science behind all this at lifespa.com. It's up right now on my homepage, so check that out at lifespa.com. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all next week.